two, three, four.
Welcome to the back office. I'm Delana Dillon, the founder and creative director of Signify Marketing, and this is where you get to sit in on real strategy. Each episode, we step inside an active business and have honest conversations about marketing, growth, leadership, and the decisions shaping what happens next. No one has it fully figured out, but we are building anyway. And today's conversation is a little different than our usual episodes, but honestly, it fits the heart of this show so perfectly. So because behind every book, every brand, every message that resonates with people, there is a process most people never get to see. So today I'm joined by Shelby Gardner, author of Lily Pads, Remembering, Reclaiming, and Tracing Back to Where Jesus Has Always Been, writer of the Lily Letters, entrepreneur, storyteller, wife, mom, and someone who has built a platform rooted in vulnerability, honesty, and faith. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the real behind the scenes process of writing and releasing a book, the business side of authorship, building an authentic brand in a noisy world, yes and amen, and what it looks like to create from a place of honesty instead of performance. So Shelby brings so much warmth and depth to this conversation, and I think whether you are a writer, an entrepreneur, creator, or simply someone trying to build something meaningful, you're going to take a lot away from this one. So Shelby, welcome to the back
Hi,
office.
thank you so much for having me.
Well,
This is
we
so
are,
exciting.
we're excited to hear about you and your venture and all the things. So take us back, maybe give us a little intro, because I know you do, yes, you just authored this book, but you do writing regularly. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the field of writing.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So I have always had a passion for writing. I actually got an English degree from ORU. I remember even as a little kid, I would always write just like the silliest stories. And so it's always been something I loved. I'm an avid journaler, so I'm always writing something. And I have a blog that I have been super passionate about for quite a while called the Lily Letters. So I write in that every single week. And it's kind of like my online journal. So
Okay.
anything I learn or hear or, go throughout my weeks learning from someone or something, I love to journal about it and invite other people into the conversation. So I've been doing that for a while, and Lily Pads I published in January.
Okay.
It was kind of a whirlwind, but I had been working on it for probably 2 years.
Oh, wow.
It was quite a while. And so, yeah, I'm just at this point now, really devoted to, I have probably on my desktop, maybe 6 other books that I want to write
Oh my
someday,
goodness.
all different sorts,
Yeah.
fiction, nonfiction, that sort of thing. Because I'm always just finding things to write about. So,
Yeah. That is, I think people have these ideas potentially, but to take that step to put it to paper, so to speak,
For
or put it
sure.
to computer,
Yeah.
it's I'm sure it's not easy.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure it's not. So where did Lily Pads first begin with you? Was it a compilation? I never can say that word very well.
You did great.
Compilation of the Lily Letters, or is it more than that? Is it different direction than that?
So it's similar in the sense that all of it is my heart and what I'm learning and how I want to share about it. But Lily Pads is more of the storytelling.
Mhm.
So I start each section with a story from my own past in a way to invite people into their own story, because that is my heart, is to show people, hey, your story is super valuable and your story matters, and people need to hear your story. And God has been in your story for a really long time. And so Lily Pads is that, starting with my story and then through a lot of journaling prompts, inviting people into their own story. So if I'm talking about struggling with identity, I'm then asking, okay, where have you struggled with identity? When have you felt lonely? Here was when I felt lonely. Where have you felt lonely? And then just uncovering those hard, painful memories that many of us like to cover up,
Yes.
and never talk about. And then for me, it's putting Jesus in the middle of all of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So is this like an interactive book?
Yes.
Okay.
I have called it a heart study.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying devotional,
Yeah.
but not in the sense of like you have day 1, day 2, day 3,
Right,
because
right.
I was super passionate about not creating something that became a burden
Mm.
or just a routine or a
Mhm.
task to check off the
Mhm.
list. So in my intro, I say, if you find yourself going through the motions with these questions, put it down and come back to it next week, next month, whenever
Mhm.
you're ready to dive in again.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, super interactive.
So the questions are more to help you process the content
Yes, exactly.
and
Yeah,
apply it.
right. And apply it
Yeah.
and dig deep in within yourself,
Yeah.
finding more that you didn't know was there.
So was there a moment when you knew that this needed to be a book?
Yes. So I actually was sitting, and this was where the title lily pads comes from. I was sitting on my back porch journaling one day,
Uh-huh.
and I was super disappointed. Where our family was at the time, it had felt like we took 5 steps forward and then 6 steps back.
Mhm.
And I was sitting on my back porch journaling about that and thinking that language is so poor. Like, that's so discouraging. The way we talk about, life is like a staircase. You
Oh,
take
yeah.
steps forward and then you fall down.
Yeah.
And then I was just sitting there. I was like, what else could I call that? And then lily pads came to mind. And it's just been this really cool picture how it's played out, and that like life is more like, we're on a pond and there's seasons everywhere. None of them are bad. None of them are going backwards.
Oh,
It's
right.
all just a different season where we
Yeah.
get to learn and grow from. And we don't have to view it all as a negative if it's
Mhm.
not what we're hoping life would look like.
Yeah, because when you put it in the context of like a staircase, it's moving up and moving down.
Right.
Or even stepping, I don't know, roadblocks. Your
Yes.
step going forward, going backward.
For sure.
But if you look at it like a pond and lily pads, it's just a different place.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's really good. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because we all, it's in us. It's in us to want to move forward and to progress.
For sure.
And a lot of times that's in the context of comparing it to where someone else is.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's too, it's like, what are you trying to arrive at? Because no
Yeah.
matter how much money
Yeah.
you make, no matter
Yeah.
where you go, there's always somewhere
Yes.
more, better, bigger to go.
Yeah.
And it just feels hopeless. And
Yeah.
so that was my heart, is showing other women, other people, hey, those hard seasons, like, they are just as valuable as the
Mhm.
good seasons. And
Mhm.
you can find something really powerful in them too.
Yeah. So what part of your own story shaped this project the most?
That's a great question. Probably my family. We have, whenever me and my husband first got married, about a year after we had gotten married, we experienced just a really bad tragedy of losing his dad.
Mm.
And it was very unexpected. And the next 2 years became caretaking for his mom, who was 100% handicapped. And so it was like we couldn't figure out life. We didn't have time to think. We didn't
Right.
have time to grieve. We just had to figure out what we were going to do with her, how we were going to help his sister care for her. And she passed away 2 years after his dad did. And following that was just a couple years of intense depression in my husband,
Mhm.
of course,
Yeah.
the tragedy
Yeah.
that he had experienced. And some of those were our lowest seasons. But now looking back on them, like those are the seasons when I felt lonely, when I felt rejected, when I felt isolated and like I had no hope. Now those are the seasons I get to talk about and share hope with other people, because we made
Yeah.
it out, and he is the most incredible human I have ever known in my entire life. And to see what he's fought through and what we have fought through, like, there is hope. There is
Mhm.
always so much hope to get through all the hard seasons. And
Yeah.
so that really birthed wanting to share with other people that there's always hope.
Well, a lot of people they say they want to write a book.
Mhm.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It sounds really great to
Right.
say that you've authored a book. But what does that process actually look like? Because I'm sure it's a lot more work than someone might think.
Right. No, it for sure is. And it was a lot more than what I thought when I said I wanted to write something. I think the hardest part is you just have to show up to it
Yeah.
every single day. I mean, even if you're writing one sentence, you have to commit to showing up to it, and showing up when you don't even know what you're going to write.
Yeah.
That was my hardest part, is I was like, if I didn't feel whatever I was wanting to write, then I would walk away for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I did that, and that's why I think writing books takes a long time
Right.
for most
It
people.
can take a long time. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. But I think I could have done it quicker if I would have just shown up to
Mhm.
it more often. So that was a big thing for me. And I heard someone say once, like brain dump, like just
Yeah.
brain dump
Yeah.
everything in your brain, just dump it on the piece of paper and just write. Don't worry about punctuation or spelling. I also, what is his name? John Acuff, I think maybe.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I listened to a
Yep.
podcast that he did once, and he writes all of his books by hand in a
Mhm.
spiral journal first. And that was super helpful for me because coming from someone who loved journaling,
Yeah.
typing a
Yeah.
book never
Feels like work,
for
right?
sure, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. And so once I was like, oh, that it's okay to do that. Okay. I started just handwriting a
Mhm.
lot of my stuff, and then I would, turn it over into a document on my
Well, and I
computer.
think handwriting it too, it probably helps you get out of that perfectionist, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Because
for
you're not worried
sure.
about the punctuation when you're just
Right.
writing and
Yeah.
journaling, so to
Yes.
speak.
Yeah. And it just feels a little more authentic,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a hard one for me to grasp. But once I started doing that, it started flowing. And then you get to, the editing when you get to the final product, which took so much longer than what I thought. I had my best friend, she edited the whole thing for me. I self-published on Amazon.
Yeah.
Partially,
Well, I mean, being an English major, I feel like you're qualified.
yeah, hopefully hopefully that paid off. That's what my husband, he's always like, you didn't use your degree for anything. And now I'm like, I'm using it. This is
Yes.
great. But editing took so long, and she would mark it up on the paper and send it to me. And I knew I wanted to do self-publish for this one at least because it was like a heart book
Yeah.
from myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't need someone couldn't read that and be like, you need to change this and this and this.
Yeah.
Because even my friend would tell me, I think you should reword this, and I'm like, no,
That's how I wanna
this
word
is
it.
my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I did one in the future, I would look into maybe a publisher, just completely different, royalties and all
Yeah.
that is a whole nother thing. But yeah, once we got the editing down and then publishing through Amazon, it really was amazing. It was so simple and helpful. ChatGPT helped me a ton with like, why won't this cover work? And but yeah, it was-
Well, it truly put everything in your hands where you
Right.
could do everything the way you wanted to do it. But I do think probably the knowledge you have prepared you
Yeah.
more than it would me
Yeah.
to do something like that. But I love when someone just decides they're going to do something and they just figure it out.
yeah, right, yes,
So many times we can let needing to know all the steps
For
and to
sure.
feel like we are an expert in something to do something,
Yeah.
and it's not required.
oh yeah, I'm absolutely not an expert. When you were like, let's talk about the behind the scenes of book writing, I'm like, I don't know anything, but
But you did it, so therefore you do.
I know something.
You know more than I do because I've never done it.
Yeah, right.
And I think that can be such a setback for us
For
to
sure.
want to be the expert or to feel qualified
Yes.
or
Yeah.
quantified
Right.
to be able to say that. But no, you did the thing. You had it. It's published. It's out there. People can get it on Amazon. Is that the only place people can get it? Which we'll
Yes.
talk more about
Yep.
later too.
Yep.
But so on Amazon,
Yep.
it's there. What helped keep you disciplined to this process?
Probably, gosh, I mean, my husband is such a support system for me. I mean, he let me leave my job at ministry
Mhm.
to chase after a dream
Yeah.
that pays nothing, basically.
Yet.
Very little, yeah. And so I think for me, I found the motivation in that for one,
Mhm.
like I'm taking this leap, I'm taking this
Yeah.
jump, I'm going to chase after
Going
it.
all in.
For sure, yeah. And I also, for me and my faith being such an important part in my life, I didn't want to do a disservice or discredit to what God had done and what God had spoke in my heart to share with other people. And so I would have to tell myself, okay, but this is what I feel like I'm called to do. So by not doing it, I'm not showing up for God.
Yeah.
And he's shown up for me every single time. So
Mhm.
I can't even show up for this one thing.
Mhm.
And so that was like the real motivation for me. I felt this call and I'm just going to do it and trust that whatever happens, happens. And I'm not going to hold it all, which
Right.
has been hard.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, that can definitely be some great motivators
yes.
when
Oh,
you
yeah,
put everything on the line.
for sure. Right.
So, did the book change while you were writing it? Like what you expected it to be or the direction you expected it to go, did that change at all through through the process?
Right. It did. When I started writing originally, I didn't know it was going to be a devotional. I kind of just started with my own story, and I thought it was going to be more of sharing my heart and things I've learned. But then through the process is when I started finding a passion for storytelling from myself in order to invite people into their story.
So that wasn't added.
For sure. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that
good.
came second for sure.
It just developed into that then.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
So what about the process was harder than you expected it would be? Aside from just sitting down and showing up.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely one of the hardest. One of the things I learned most about doing this is if I don't have my things within me figured out, or not figured out necessarily, but addressed, they came out in writing. So I'm sharing a lot of my heart and painful memories, painful stories, and it brought up a lot in me that I learned I had to address before I could write about it. If I hadn't looked in, and I'm in counseling, that's something that's super big in our family. And there would be times I would go to my counselor and be like, okay, writing this, we need to talk about this week because this really bothered me. But I just learned that when you're writing and being vulnerable and chasing your dreams, all your insecurities come out.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing to get to learn and be transformed in the process of sharing your heart. But that was something I did not expect. I thought I was going to show up to writing and it was going to be all the things I had figured out. And it was like, oh yeah, I have not addressed this inside of me.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of the biggest lessons I learned through writing is I also have to figure out my own pain and look at it and address it before I can even talk about it to anybody else.
Well, something we say a lot on this podcast is no one has it all figured out. And that's just a testament.
Yes.
Even in life, not just in business, even in life, nobody has it all figured out.
For sure. Yeah. that is
But
so
we're
true.
we're working through it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're writing through it.
Yes, exactly. We'll never get there fully, but
Yes.
we're all trying together.
Yeah. So for someone who is writing potentially, how do you know when a book is ready to publish?
I don't think you do.
Okay.
I published lily pads and then I put it like 100 yards away from me for probably 3 months. I
Really?
didn't want to look at it. I couldn't read back through it
Yeah.
because I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was I thinking? I even thought about, I had sent out the text to all my friends that I published it. A lot of my friends bought it. And then I was like, I could take it off of Amazon now. Like, I've got it in a few people's hands. Like, this is a lot. This is super vulnerable to share all this. And I feel like I could have gone through and edited that book 100 times and never hit publish.
And it would have been a different book though.
Exactly, for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't have been what my heart originally was.
Mhm.
So I don't think you do know. For
Yeah.
me, I did not know. I think you just have to do it. And one cool thing about Amazon is I'm kind of in the process of going through and tweaking a few things. And now that I can go back through it, and you can take the publication down and then just republish it and it be your updated version.
Yeah, like a
it's
new
super
edition or
simple.
something.
Yeah. And no one has to know that it's different, that buys it moving on, which is a really cool thing with publishing through Amazon is you have the ability like, okay, if I do need to make some edits or, now that I'm reading back, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You can change it and then upload again.
Now, side note, I just have to know. Admittedly, I have not read the book yet.
Did you buy one?
Not
'Cause
yet.
I have one for you.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
exciting.
I actually brought
Well,
two, so
Oh,
yeah.
that's exciting. So I don't know how much did you bring other people into the book, but like, is that something that you had to talk with people about? Hey, I'm going to be sharing this story, or was that part of the process?
Yes, that's actually a great question because so much of the book is about my story, but also my story with my husband.
Yeah, no one's story is uninvolved from other people.
Right, yeah, which is so hard,
Yeah.
and I didn't talk too much about like my parents and childhood, but there is a story in there talking about my mom and our relationship, and that was even something her and I kind of dialogued about before. because it is hard. It's my story still. Like
Right.
my story
Yeah.
is
You
super
have the right
important
to share
here.
it.
Right. But you also want to like respect other people. And I would mention to my husband, he's such an open book. He's probably the one I least talk to about it and first because he doesn't care. But there was definitely those conversations that I'm like, okay, I need to talk with this person probably before.
Yeah.
And I tried in my stories, it's solely focused on me and where
Right.
I was mentally, my heart. But yeah, that is an interesting aspect to it.
Well, it's got to be because when you're the person that is being
Right.
you're involved in that part
Yes.
of the story, you could read anything into it.
Right.
And
Oh,
when
for sure.
like you're saying it, the focus was on me and how it affected me and my process, but
Yeah.
anyone could read into it.
For sure, yeah, and be offended by it and feelings hurt by it. And so far, my mom, she did share with me. She was like, "It is such a weird experience to read this, being your mom
Yeah.
and knowing all of those seasons, but obviously not seeing
Yeah.
within me."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Sometimes I just have to put it down. Like
Yeah.
I can't keep reading it because seeing her daughter, those moments
Right.
she was in
Oh, my
pain
word.
or
Yeah.
hurting,
Ugh.
yeah, she's like, that's so hard."
And for you as a parent too.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Right. Yes. Like she's probably like, "What? I couldn't fix everything." That's how I
Right.
would be. Yeah.
Oh man, it's hard.
I know.
That's
It
hard.
really is. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Mhm.
So what what does self-doubt sound like during a project like this?
Ooh. Well, it's constant, which is
I am
awesome.
sure.
Yep. For me, it was I am not good enough. Anything I wrote isn't good enough. I'm not sharing it correctly. And then there's the mental war of, is this my voice? Am I trying to write this for me? Am I
Mhm.
trying to make
Mhm.
myself famous? Anything that challenged words on the page, I tried to like surrender it and say, you know what, I'm gonna write it. And my hope is if this is not, you know, coming from God, or if this is not, what I truly want to say, that it would be like void in someone else's mind and heart, and they would just look over that page or whatever. But it was and that's been, I left ministry to pursue this, which is such a different world, because in ministry there's people around to help, there's people around to care for,
Mhm.
there's always
Mhm.
something to do that felt meaningful and purposeful. And so walking away from that in a world where I'm by myself at a desk all the
Yes.
time
Mhm.
just feels like, who am I? What
Mhm.
am I even doing? I ask that question every day. What the heck am I even doing right
Mhm.
now? Because it just was so different. And it something I think that is always there. But my counselor is just like the bee's knees, and we do something called story work, and it's just going back when I have these thoughts or feelings. She takes me back to, okay, when did you feel that, in like, when can you first remember that feeling? And through that, I have found so much freedom in a lot of the self-doubt, because I'm like, this isn't my voice, this
Yeah.
isn't God's
Yeah,
voice,
yeah, yeah.
this is that soccer coach's voice, or that boy's voice,
Mhm.
when I was
Mhm.
young. And through that, I've been able to make it out alive. But it is something that's like there literally constantly.
Yeah. And I think for everyone.
For sure.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
sure for everyone.
Yes, definitely.
So, what have you learned about the business side of being an author?
Yeah.
The thing that people are like, "What? I thought I was just going to write a book," but then you got to get the book out there.
Right.
And when you're taking it seriously like you are, it truly is a business.
For sure. Yeah, it really is. Well, and that's the hard part, is I think I thought I was going to publish this book, and then I was going to make decent amount of money, have income for my family. And it just didn't happen like that. I mean, I sold, my first marketing
Mhm.
tool was
Mhm.
to text everybody at our
Right.
church to say, hey, do you want to buy this book?
As you should, because think about it. The first line of people who are going to care about this because they care about you are
Right.
the people that you know.
Right, exactly. And we have an amazing community. And so, I mean, I think I sold 80 books almost like in the first month, which
Yeah.
was so amazing. That doesn't equate to income at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
in the world of publishing. So that was kind of a surprise to me, is thinking that it would sell more and do more
Mhm.
than that. And so then, now I'm on this journey of figuring out what it looks like to share the book outside of just the book.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's so terrifying, because it's not necessarily rejection at every turn, but you're having to put the ask out there to so many people
Yeah.
in hopes that they'll welcome you into like their podcast,
Yeah.
like we're doing. And 9 times out of 10, you don't get a response or you get a not yet,
Yeah.
And so,
I'll be honest, it's frustrating to not get an answer.
oh, for sure. Yes.
Like, just answer.
Yeah, just tell me no. Just say
Just tell me
no.
no.
That's great. Yeah, I'd be better with that. But then, like, that's what we're talking about is, oh, maybe they just haven't seen my message.
Right.
Do I send another message? Well, how do I find their email? And I've done all of that.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Yes, right. And so that side of it's been interesting. But then I also, I mean, the business side I struggle with is sometimes it feels like I have to sell myself
Mhm.
in order to sell
Sell
this
the book.
book.
Yeah, because it feels, and I think here's the thing is this isn't unique to books. People
Right.
who own a business,
Mhm.
a lot of times they have that same feeling that they're having to sell themselves, but it's not you.
Right.
It is something that you have created, personally created
Mhm.
for them, and it has value and it's going to benefit them.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I feel that tension with selling yourself. And I saw the band Salt is a band on Instagram, and I saw a reel they posted once when it talked about that very same thing. I mean, they're in the music industry and they feel that tension. And they said something like that tension should always be there. You should always feel that tension to sell yourself in order to sell your book, because that is it. There's the humility piece that we all want to come across as humble and not prideful, but also look at me, watch my video, like it, comment. But they said you should always feel that tension because it isn't the most natural thing.
Mhm.
And being aware of that tension makes you aware to not make yourself center stage.
Yes. If you're not aware of it, you're probably
Right.
on the
Exactly.
self-promotion
Yes.
thing. You probably are. But you
Right.
come from being an entrepreneur too. So we
Mhm.
should also hit on that. Like, this
Yeah.
is not something you are unaware of as far as starting a business. This is literally
sure.
like starting a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what has your entrepreneur life been like?
Yeah. Okay. So where it started was I had an Etsy shop and I
Mhm.
made home decor
Yeah.
signs. I told you I was in ministry. When that journey started, our church did not exist, but I knew I wanted to help with whatever
Mhm.
that looked like. And so I would, help with the church, and I was passionate about, being available to do things for that to help it grow. But there was absolutely zero funds to pay me as
Yeah.
if it were a job. So coming up with these smaller businesses was a way for us to have a little bit of income from me while still pursuing, helping plant this church.
Right.
And so I started the sign business first. And I'm not sure I'm a good employee. Like the 9 to 5, I just don't know how to do that and show up to it well. Like some days I want to sleep in, some days I want to stay up late. It was just being at someone else's beck and call
Yeah.
was, harder for me. And so that kind of started. And then after that, I had a cookie business called Simply Sugared. And that was actually like my claim to fame, to entrepreneurship. That was super successful. I had a book calendar for 6 months in advance. And so like baby showers and wedding showers and birthdays.
And you're not doing this anymore?
And I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh my
I
word.
know. It got to be a lot. And it was so much that I almost had to choose if I wanted to do cookies or ministry.
Yeah.
And my heart was with ministry. And I thought cookies might be something I could come back to someday.
Yeah.
But it controlled our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it was evenings and weekends and packaging and the mess that was everywhere,
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. And I loved building something from
Mhm.
nothing. And that's what this is too,
Yes.
is building something from
Yeah.
literal nothing.
Yeah.
And I have a husband, like I said, who supports me in everything. So while I'm not making much of income in any of those, the cookies was great, but other things, he's always supporting me to
Mhm.
like chase after my next dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. And then now the book.
Yes.
Yes.
Now
And then my husband's super entrepreneurial too, in real estate, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
owns his own brokerage too. So it's just our family, our lifestyle is
Yeah.
entrepreneurial.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how have you learned about branding? What have you learned about branding yourself and your message? Which I think you kind of came into because you do the lily letters.
Yes.
So, aside from that really cool analogy and picture that you came with, it fits really nicely.
Right. And that was so not intentional.
Yeah.
I learned something in counseling once that uh talked about, I'm gonna butcher it, but it was something along the lines of, we all have different parts that make up ourselves. And a counselor I had long ago, she told me, like, you should name those parts. And so I had come up with the name Lily
Okay.
for the girl in me who's like fun and spontaneous, who chases dreams, who's not scared. And so when I started the blog,
People are gonna be looking at you like,
I know.
she's got an alternate personality.
my husband hates when I share this with people. He's like, it sounds like you have split personalities.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, yeah, I wish my counselor could describe it for you because she did it better. Or it actually probably is as weird as it sounds, but that's
No,
fine.
no, it's
So,
not. I
yeah.
love it.
So that's where Lily letters came in when I started the blog. And so it was so unintentional. That was before
Yeah.
lily pads was
Yeah.
a thing. And so then lily pads came to mind. I'm like, I guess I have a thing for lilies.
But
I
it
don't know.
works.
Yeah.
It's I think that it's perfect. Like it did brand unintentionally your
Right.
message.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what else have you learned about actually having to brand yourself? You feel like you're selling yourself, but you're branding yourself,
Right.
branding your message.
Yeah. I think, I think I would just go back to, I want people to take from me to find something within themselves,
Mhm.
to look into their own story. And so I'm still in that process of figuring out what the branding looks like. What do I post? What do I want to, because I mean, on social media, you probably know, you see people, and you're one of these, like, I'm like, oh, you were born to be on social media. Like, you are so natural. There's so many people who I see their videos and I'm like, they do this so well. And then I try to do it and I'm like, that is not what theirs look like.
Well, it's how you feel. A lot of times anyone else will be like, oh, that's
Right.
great.
I know. Yeah. But it has been a process of figuring out, like, okay, what is true to myself in the marketing, in the branding, not what other people are doing. And I'm still in the process of trying to do that. I
Yeah.
recently started taking my blog posts and posting them, like condensing them a lot, and then
Mhm.
posting, Lily letters out loud on
Mhm.
social
Mhm.
media, which felt something so personal to me and so like unique to me. And so I get snippets of that. I'm like, okay, this is me. I love doing this. I'm still sharing my message, but it's shorter, it's audio, it's different than making people read.
Right.
But then I have like, am I supposed to video myself putting on my makeup? No, I can't do that. I physically can't put that out there, And so it's just finding out, like, okay, what's true to me and not what I'm trying to copy somebody else
Yeah.
on the internet, because
Yeah.
that's when it feels icky for me.
Well, but it is you being intentional about your platform and about your
Yeah.
audience, that they know what to expect from you.
Right.
Because if they saw you doing, I don't know, putting on makeup in a video,
Right.
they might be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's not what she normally
Right.
does.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so it is, even if it doesn't, like you don't realize it in the moment, it is being intentional with that branding
Right. For sure.
and knowing what is true to yourself is
Yeah.
actually true to your audience as well.
For sure. That's
Because you've
exactly
trained
true.
them on what to expect from you.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Authenticity, vulnerability,
Right. Yeah.
all of these things.
For sure. Yeah. That's good.
Like we talked about, you and your husband are both entrepreneurs, but what has just that lifestyle taught you about resilience?
Mhm. It's taught us a lot of grace, for each other. Living as entrepreneurs, your schedules are never normal, which is what
Yeah.
we love about it,
Yeah.
right? We can work
Love and
all
hate.
hours of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as with, we have a family, we have 2 daughters, and having that, it's been, we have to be a team. We have to work together. I have to have grace for him to go work late, one night. And then he has to have grace for me. Hey, I can't pick up the girls this day because I have this meeting and I have to go to it, And it has taught us, when we can work as a team and have that grace for each other, it feels like we can push through anything.
Yeah.
We can do it,
Yeah.
But when we start getting maybe a little selfish and just seeing our business venture as the only thing and not the other, we become competition.
Right.
So that's been a big thing that we've had to navigate, is figuring out that we have to give and take for each other, with each other. And it's all to, benefit the family. But it just looks different than the normal, typical job that a lot of people have.
Right. Well, speaking of family, how do you navigate ambition while raising a family?
Yeah, that's another like tension
Yeah.
I feel. I found out about 3 weeks into being a mom that I was not made for stay-at-home momming. Both of my daughters are Spitfires.
And how old are they now?
6 and 3.
Okay.
So still little.
Yeah.
My 6, she thinks she's 16, which is terrifying. But so that's been something, I realized like, okay, I don't think the stay-at-home mom life is cut out for me. I always have this other thing that's excited about building something, and it's hard to navigate not seeing my kids, my girls, as a barrier to business, but instead seeing them as something that can like help it move along.
Yeah.
And so for me, a huge part of my life is motherhood. And so in my story right now and in my marketing, I get to share the motherhood, like the hard, and get to post them on social media, and finding out ways to incorporate that family life and dynamic into the business has been super crucial for us and for me to feel like, okay, this can all work together. It can all mesh well together. It's harder, like it's a lot more effort, Like I'll sometimes set up my tripod to get just videos of the girls playing, and my 6-year-old will look instantly and see it, and she'll fix her hair and then try to do cartwheels, and I'm like, okay, that didn't work. But it is just incorporating them into it, and I think it's showing them that is one thing, as a mom, what I want to show them more than a lot of things is like chase after your dreams. Have a big dream. Like when I was, a young soccer player, I thought I was going to be the next Mia Hamm, on the U.S. Women's Olympics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, believe that about yourself and chase after it.
Yeah.
And I want them to see me doing that. I told my 6-year-old, I was like, I'm going on a podcast today. She was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. What's a podcast? I was trying to tell her about it. And she's like, that's so cool, Mama. And so just her getting to see me. And I tell her about my failures too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've sent these messages to these people and none of them responded. I'm sad that nobody wanted me to come do this for them. So it's just bringing them into it has been so hard, but also so much fun.
Yes.
And it helps them grow, I think, too.
It 100%. They are learning. What is that saying? Come on. What, the thing about kids, like most of what they get from you is basically dropped instead of like given. Like what you're trying to teach them.
Right.
They learn more from what you're not trying to intentionally teach them.
For sure, yeah.
I don't know the saying or the quote, but it's out there.
Let's think. Okay, our pastor.
It's caught, not taught.
Oh yes, yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
it's caught, not taught.
Yes, yeah. My pastor shall always say, your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks much louder than your talk.
Yeah,
could ever talk or something.
Yeah.
I
like that.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I know. Yeah,
I need to use that.
Yeah, I have to repeat it a few times, but.
What is something you had to learn the hard way through this process?
Besides everything. I think it would be, and I kind of already touched on this, addressing all the things within me that I have shoved under the rug or deep down. Didn't want to shine light on it and heal from it because it felt safer for it to be way deep, deep, deep in my soul. That's kind of been, I've had days when sharing all this raw and vulnerable stuff, that day specifically has just been super heavy. And I've had to take the day off from writing, or say like, okay, I wrote this today. That was hard. I'm going to go to Goodwill. I love thrifting. I'm going to go to Goodwill for an hour.
Treat yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. To Goodwill. That's why I have a photo shoot coming up. And my friend, we were talking, and we're going to go to Goodwill to find my outfits. Cause I'm like, I love the redemption of Goodwill. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, someone's called it trash, but I'm going to buy it and use it. But I think that's been the hardest thing is, feeling all the hard emotions that come out and then allowing them to sit there and giving them space to be there. Because I think so often all of us, when we feel those, especially in the busyness of life, it's like, I don't have time to think about why that really bothered me or why that hurt my feelings or why I just cried out of nowhere. It's easier to just shove it down. And I haven't been able, doing that is inauthentic to what I want to write. And so that's been really hard.
Yeah. A lot of times, especially being an entrepreneur and building something, you don't always feel like you have the time to process through those things.
Right. Yeah. And it feels like if you slow down, you'll lose momentum.
Yeah.
And you won't gain any more ground, and then it flops.
Yeah.
I think there's that fear with all entrepreneurs. That's what my husband talks a lot about. Just feeling like you're the ceiling, and the only way the ceiling's going to move is if I move with it.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like as an entrepreneur is you always need to be growing. That means you can't stop.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's always right.
Yeah. Man, that's true. That is true. What do people misunderstand about writing a book?
Hmm. I think probably, you know, people have been surprised when I tell them, like how much money you make from writing a book,
Yeah.
like how many books you have to sell
Yeah.
to make anything.
Yeah.
So I think when I sell mine, I don't even know if this is okay to share, but when I sell mine on Amazon, I think I get $4 from that. And I think people have been so shocked that, oh, that's all? Like, that's all you make? And I think that's good.
Yeah. They don't understand. You're actually because this is something Amazon does. Am I wrong? They fulfill. They do all the fulfillment.
Yes.
They ship it.
Yep.
They print it.
Print
They
it.
do
Yep.
all of that.
All of it. Yeah.
I mean,
So when you
it's a
go and
lot.
buy it on Amazon, I do nothing. It just
Yeah.
pops up as an order on
Yeah.
my end. And that's
and you're
all.
like, yay!
It's great. Yeah, I got one this month. So I think that's been something I've heard people are surprised about. But I honestly think everyone I've known, they'll say like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you wrote this. That's got to be so hard." I think people understand that part.
Yeah.
But I think the time that it takes to actually show up to writing is something people would probably be surprised about. And in 50 years, I think I'll make $3 an hour for all the time, that
Yeah.
I spent writing
Yeah.
this. I think that's something people would probably be surprised about.
Right. It is something that has to be something that's in your heart to do.
For sure. Yeah.
Or that you want to add value. I think every author out there, somehow there's underneath all of their intentions for writing, they want to add value. Or
Right.
some might be entertained, but it's adding value.
For sure. Yes.
They'd have to.
Yeah, definitely.
What advice would you give someone who feels called to create something but is putting it off?
I mean, aside from just do it,
As Nike would say.
yeah, just do it. Can they trademark that? I think probably realistically for me and practically, I would say if it's showing up 15 minutes, block out 15 minutes of your day
Mhm.
and say you're going to devote it to this. If I think when you have a time frame, you don't have to, spend a whole day doing it.
Yeah.
That feels easier. So
Yeah.
starting smaller,
Yeah.
and just build in 30 minutes this day and then an hour another day and just build up to it. But I think any amount of energy you can give to it, not only does that help produce something, but it builds momentum within you
Mhm.
to show up the next day and
Mhm.
do it. But then also one of our family core values is we do hard things. And so, yeah, it's going to be hard to show up to it, but that doesn't mean you don't do it,
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing that I would tell anybody is, yeah, you do hard things though. You've done a lot of hard things in life. So you
Yes.
can show up to this and
You
you
can
can
do it.
persevere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What are you dreaming about right now?
So a couple things. So I am working towards and just dreaming about getting to speak about the book
Mhm.
in other places.
Yeah.
Women's conferences, Bible studies. I lead a Bible study at my house, and that's super fun to getting to encourage women there. So I have a dream to do that in more spaces. And then I also have dreams to write more books, more actual books, not devotional styles.
Mhm.
And I have been forcing myself to read more, which
Mhm.
surprisingly is the best motivator to
Yeah.
sit down and read a book and get ideas from it. I just started The Alchemist yesterday.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah. And I'm already having so many ideas of, something that's on my desktop that I've been wanting to write. How he, describes this metaphor of his life. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could turn this into that. And so reading has been something to really help give me ideas
Yeah.
and stretch me and, look at things differently.
Yeah.
So that's been a really big one. So doing that, I feel like I'm dreaming about this next book that I want to write and what it would look like and, how I would do it. So
Yes. So do you think writing is something you'll always do? Do you think this is a forever thing or a season? Is this a lily pad?
right.
Or is this
I wish I knew. I would think it would be a pretty big lily pad. I have
Yeah.
no idea
Yeah.
what I would do after. I think it will always be a thing, regardless of if I do have another job someday. I think I still will write in the blog and I will still journal. And then maybe the process would just be a lot longer, you know. But I think writing has always been a part of my life, so I think it forever will be a part
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah. Putting that degree to good use.
Yes, I know. Finally, it's worth it. Oh, all those student loans.
But you will, like you mentioned, you will continue. You're still continuing with the Lily letter. So is that once a week, the same day every week, or how do people get in on that?
So I have the links on like my Instagram,
Uh-huh.
you know, where you can go, you can read the latest blog, or you can put in your email and then it'll automatically go to your email every
Okay.
week.
Nice.
And it's usually every Monday.
Okay.
Sometimes might be Tuesday, but my goal is to send it out on Monday because then I can post it on Monday. And then like right now I'm spending the week writing the next blog that I'll post next Monday. So I posted one recently and someone was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know like this was going on this week. And I was like, it's actually 2 weeks ago, but yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mondays.
Timeline is fluid.
For sure. Always. Everything is fluid in entrepreneurship.
Yes. So before we close, I always ask this question. What is one thing you don't have fully figured out yet, but you're choosing to build through anyway?
So I might have already answered this. I think it would be the learning to be okay with myself being out there, selling myself. That's been my biggest learning curve and my biggest, you know, self-doubt questions that go through my head every day is, am I selling myself or am I just trying to share the story of the book? And so I'm learning to put myself out there more. I'm learning to take more risks. You know, I've sent so many messages to people that, like we said, never got a response.
Yeah.
And I'm learning. So I said our family core value is do it scared, or we do hard things. Do it scared is another one. And mine lately is do it embarrassed, because a lot of times it embarrasses me to reach out to somebody with the possibility of rejection. And so right now I'm learning, like, I'm going to do it embarrassed. Who cares? You know, if that feels icky, if I'm embarrassed by their reaction or lack of reaction, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to show up to it anyway.
Yeah. I've got to say this because I could 100% see how you feel this way because it is so personal.
Yeah.
It's your message. It's your brand. You are your brand.
Yeah. Right.
But it relates to anyone in business. Like you said, if you feel, there's a lot of videos around, like a trend, I guess, of being like, you know, if you feel like what you're putting out there is cringy, just do it anyway.
Yes.
You know, you've seen that probably.
Yeah.
Those videos. Well, but it's the same thing of reach out, because the people don't know about you because they don't know about you. It's not because they already heard about you and are like, no, not interested. It's because they truly don't know.
Right. Yeah.
If you want anyone to know, you're going to have to be the one to tell them.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
So
it's really good.
You put it out there and don't feel embarrassed. If you do, who cares?
Yeah.
Feel it and move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't feel like that you are, you know, this big, tiny, whatever.
That
Just
imposter syndrome
Yes.
is such a big thing, I feel like, in our world. You know, who am I to do this? You know, who am I?
You're Shelby Gardner.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's who you are.
Author.
And now they're going to know, even if they don't want to have you at their event, or even if whatever, they don't want to carry your book. I don't know, whatever the scenario.
Yeah.
They know who you are.
For sure. Yeah.
That's better than before you messaged them because they didn't know who you were.
So true. Yeah.
So you go do it.
So good. Preach it.
Go do it. Okay. So for people who want to connect with you and find your book or find Lily Letters online, tell us how to do all those things.
I think the best place would be to go to shelbygardner.com.
Easy.
Yes. I have the link to my blog. I have the link to sign up for the blog. It has a spot, like, if you want me to speak at an event, you know, it has all the things that AI told me to put on there. So that would be the best place.
Yeah. And you can like, it has a link there for Amazon.
Yes.
So you can go directly to the book.
Yep.
And get it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, you heard it. You know, now your next book, your next read is right here, already provided. So that is it for this session of the Back Office. If this conversation gave you clarity, a new angle, or even just a reminder that you're not the only one navigating this, then it did its job. Take what's useful, apply it, move on it, because no one has it fully figured out, but we are building anyway. And if you found this valuable, share it with another operator who's also building. And you can always hang out with us in between sessions at Signify Marketing Social. I'm Delana Dillon, and we will see you next time.